Bench press. Welcome, welcome. What's good? What's good is we got chapter 4 sorted out, but we changed. I came up with this whole idea that I didn't finish off chapter 3
Are you smoking?
with the end of.
Why?
Thank you for the
Why are
follow.
smoking?
Maybe.
That deserves a toke right there, bros. That deserves a toke. But yeah, for some reason I thought that I didn't end chapter 3 with them all gathering together and heading out of the tree. For some reason I thought it was just Husai leaving the soulscape. So I had this like whole idea of like what he was going to say to each character after he came out of the soulscape. And then I realized that I put down that every single one of them leaves to go to Ifrit. So I changed that. So the end will go with Husai leaves soulscape, gathers others. Oh, you ran out of weed? Oh man, that's brutal. I actually literally had to get weed today because I was almost out. I was like down to my last toke and I'm like, fuck! And I cleaned my bong and everything. So we're good to go. Yeah, no worries, man. It's a book I'm writing based on Final Fantasy, based around the idea of Final Fantasy. Hopefully, the idea is I have alternate names for everything, like Finite Fragments is the name of the series. If I can't get, because I want to actually get Final Fantasy rights for this to be an actual Final Fantasy canon novel endorsed by Square Enix. Have like every single Final Fantasy trope in it. Fucking, we're going hard with it, guys. And if not, we have alternates for everything, and you know, like, for instance, like the names of the general avatars and summons are going to be the names of the cities based upon their biomes. So, like, Ifrit is in the middle of a volcano, Shiva's out in a glacier, Leviathan is underneath the water, Garuda is either on the plains or in the air, Valefor is either the other one, plains or air, and then Titan's out in the desert, you know, and it's like, even if I can't get Square Enix on it, those names are all categorized under, like, deities for different religions and stuff like that in different cultures. So, even if, you know, we can't get the rights for it to be Final Fantasy, we still have the FF, Finite Fragments, and the tropes are the same. Like, from a technological to a magical society, some sort of underlying, overbearing leader that's like puppet mastering everything from the shadows. Some of the great enemies that you fight at the beginning turn out to be your allies in the end, and the scale of the world just continues to outpace itself until we've got to the point of, like, you know, 200, 300 characters that we will be consistently interacting with. And, you know, we got 3 different races. We have an entire timeline of how, from basically the beginning of time in celestial beings, all the way up until the end of the universe. And the idea is that, hold on, let me take a toke, and then I'll explain the entire backstory. Alright, chronological backstory. Planets are shells for celestial beings. And there are 2 types of celestial beings. Good celestial beings and bad celestial beings. The way that you know what type of celestial being they are is their actions. Good celestial beings will not break their shell because that would destroy the planet and kill everything on it. And life is sacred to those celestial beings. So they don't break out of their shells. Bad celestial beings break out of their shells because they don't care about life, or the life that's on them, for instance. And then once they break out, they go around and they eat planets, other moons and other planets. Moons are basically the children of planets, and slowly over time what the planet will do is it will spin faster increasing its gravity and pulling like particles of dust in the atmosphere closer together, and eventually it creates a moon from that gravitational pull. And this is also consistent with how magic works, so they're also using magic to do this, so that comes in as a catalyst. And the moons are basically children, and when they get to the point of puberty, the sun, or the moon, or the planet, the planet spins faster and faster again and launches the moon to make a new planet. And then that, planet has a moon, and so on. And so the oldest of the solar systems are the most planetarily inhabited because they've had the longest amount of generations to go. That is to say, if all of those in that line are good celestial beings, because all it takes is one of those celestial beings to break out of its shell and start eating all of the other planets. So there's a planet called Omnius, and it has a moon named Anima. And I've been thinking about changing the name to Shinryu, but I'm not sure if I'm going to use Shinryu as an actual dragon in the book, so I'm kind of saving that. And I'm also using like Ultima and Omega, so I can't use those. So I think Omnicron is like it's the best filler like placeholder name for Anima's mother than that I can come up with right now. But a bad celestial being comes by and eats Omnicron, and Anima is just at the point where it's about to become a planet, so it's about to be sent off. So he's like just in the middle of puberty, and he basically watches as his mom gets eaten by this celestial being, and then the celestial being just fucks off because he does, he's like, oh, I'm full, I'm not gonna eat the moon, I'm out, peace. And Anima is just left there in shock, and he is basically a raging child, and he decides to break out of his shell, and that he is going to eat absolutely everything in existence, because that's the only way to know for sure that he got his revenge on that celestial being that ate his mother. So millennia pass, and now Anima has come to the point where he is feared by even the bad celestial beings, because he is known as the Sun Eater now. He has become so powerful that he devours suns. And he found out that throughout all of this time that he's spent devouring planets and suns and moons and everything in his wake, he is not destroying things faster than they're being created. And he's worried he's going to run out of energy and die before he can exact his revenge. So he sends out shards of himself into the cosmos to land on planets and infect those planets to cause them to extremely overpopulate their planets, so that when he consumes a planet, he gets more energy from it. So this way he'll be able to continuously sustain himself, and he'll get bigger and faster, and eventually he'll be able to devour everything in existence. And so this is where Gaia, the main planet that we're on, comes in. For millions of years, there has been a shard struck on the shell of Gaia, at the very bottom of a great ocean. There is a heavily advanced technological society of octopi, and they are exploring basically the entire planet. And there's a teacher and his student, and they're in a submarine, and they're exploring basically what would be the bottom of the Marianas Trench. And they've come into this odd signal that they can't figure out what it is, but something is creating some sort of signal. And eventually they get close enough and they find one of Anima's spines. And it basically infects the ship and then infects both of the people. And these are the Monarch and the Viceroy. They, now controlled by Anima, have one singular purpose: to create as much life on the planet as possible in the least amount of time. So they begin to create this mega structure that they're going to use in order to genetically modify their species so that they can leave the water and go into the air and begin to procreate and modify all of the planet to create as much life as possible. So they come back, and through whatever means, they become extremely powerful and influential, and they have this grand idea of raising the people out of the water and creating a whole new universe for everyone to live in. And they create this basically sectioned off singular biome, and slowly over the generations the oxygen in the water is increased, and the water pressure and density is decreased until it's like a fine mist kind of idea. And all the while this giant city is being slowly raised to the surface, and whatever pressure on the outside is matched on the inside. So from living on the bottom of the ocean, they're under a certain amount of pressure. So in order to modify their species, in order to adapt to it, they're just slowly raising this platform off of the ocean floor until it reaches the top of the surface of the water. When it reaches the top of the surface of the water, that's when they can lift the dome off and release it, and eventually by then the water will now be air, and the octopi will be, walking upright in full gravity. Like, just, they would have already, over these, 3,000, 4,000 years, have been naturally evolved to the ability to survive on land. And, of course, the Viceroy and the Monarch are controlling this entire thing. And when they get to the surface, they realize what's on the surface. And the surface is controlled by dragons. Dragons are the dominant species above the water. So they rule the air and the land, and then the octopi rule the sea. And they have a great war with the dragons, and via their technology, they subdue the dragons and basically enslave all of the life. And they take what are called the beastmen, which are like orcs, goblins, I don't know, they're gonna be like turtle people, the Sahagin, fish people, all the basic kind of beastmen that you would find throughout Final Fantasy series and stuff like that. And they enslave them, teach them how to use their technology and create their technology, and they create these amazing, beautiful, crazy cities. And all the while, they're genetically experimenting on certain insectoid races that exist to create a sentient insectoid race. In the end, they choose a ladybug, and they basically create a sentient, equally intelligent level insect. And it's like a ladybug with basically 6 arms. They can use their legs as arms, as their arms as legs. So it's some characters will be like quadra wielding, like a warrior. Like one of the characters is a Dark Knight / samurai, and he dual wields massive great swords. But quadra wields massive great swords, and it's freaking insane because he can fly, so he can two-hand 2 of them and one hand the other 2 in different combinations and stuff like that. It's one of the crazier characters. It's freaking insane. And they're about the size of a large wolf. So, kind of like dire wolf size. But they're extremely light because they're basically hollow. It's just their shell completely covers them. And there's a whole backstory to the reason that they chose the ladybug was because they put in it a certain defect. It has a sucker kind of thing for a mouth, so it doesn't talk through its mouth. It actually talks through its wings. And the sounds that its wings make are actually its way of communicating. Its wings and its back are extremely soft and very, very exposed. So when they open their shell to open their wings, they're basically lifting up their shirt and saying, okay, stab me in my weakest spot. So this caused them to be extremely defensive and practical. So as their cultures and societies are evolving, they don't have any war or anything like that because they don't really, like, it's very hard to, how do I put this? It's like the Dark Forest idea. It's like the second they open up to talk to someone is the second that they expose themselves to be killed. So they are very cautious, very defensive, very loner type species. And they mingle in with other species, but not their own, generally. So you kind of have like their own individual family units, and then those break off, and they never really congregate into one full society. This causes them to be the lowest on the rank of like social status in the current day when the book actually is taking place, and that causes them to always be on the back. But it's very inherent for anyone who sees inside the mind of one of this race, the insectoids. They are very okay with this. They are very okay being passive, defensive, sitting back, and being very reactive, and letting things happen around them. And then there's the avian race. So after they create the insectoid race and they kind of just let them go out and start procreating and mingling with everything else, they start experiments on birds. And at this time, they're building giant sky cities for the birds. And they pick a specific species of bird, and the idea is they put take like their favorite kind of food and put them on like dispensers that are all around all of the giant sky cities. And slowly over like, a couple thousand years or something like that, they're like genetically engineering and naturally engineering these birds to live inside of these cities. And it causes them to, their feet kind of become their hands, and they gain like snake tails. So they're like, think of like Dratini, but like bird head. So it's like kind of got claws as its hands, and they're very like they're like 8 joints on them. They have 3 fingers with 8 joints and 2 thumbs, 1 on each side, so they can curl their claws. And the way that the species that they chose was the reason that they chose the species was because they're kind of like air pelicans, and they were like one of the only carnivorous birds, and they'd eat other birds. And essentially what they do is their jaws are kind of connected. I'm going to do it this way. Like this. And their beaks don't actually disconnect. It's their outer jaws kind of open and close like this. So they kind of have pelican beaks, or pelican gullets. And they just like shake their heads back and forth while they're flying through the air with their mouths like open like this. So they're kind of flying like this. And then they'd like gulp up birds into their gullets as they're flying. And the reason for this was they were they spent 90% of their time flying. Like, they were so good at flying, they slept while flying. It's like how sharks have to move while sleeping underwater because their gills only work if they're moving. And eventually, they land on these platforms, and then they figure out that they can get rest on these platforms, they can get food on these platforms, and eventually, over thousands of years, they evolve into the avian race, which is like a basilisk with wings and like claw arms kind of things. They can like roll and twist, and they can also move like sideways, so they can kind of move in like all directions. Very, very like multi-jointed finger claw hands. And their tails are also they're very adept with their tails. So I have a character who, like, he's kind of like the idea like Zoro from One Piece. Like, he's a samurai slash ninja who has a weapon in his gullet, two daggers in each hand, and then I don't know what kind of weapon on his tail, but some sort of weapon on his tail. So he has 4 weapons, and he's just like, his nickname is the Spinner because he just like flies and spins and fucking cuts shit apart and stuff. He's a pretty badass character. But the avians, because they have like more mobility and they really have like, they're really highly cultured, they're really social, and they place a high status on like friendship ranking kind of thing, and they're always like kind of competing with each other to try and get like, you know, basically an imagined high social credit kind of thing. This in normal, like the real modern day, when the book is taking place, this is causes a lot of strife, whereas the insectoids, they're comfortable being at the bottom of the ladder. They don't really care. It doesn't bother them. But the avians are not happy to sit second place citizens to the octopi. And the reason why the octopi have the highest status is because the monarch and the viceroy are octopi, and the concubines of the octopi, of the viceroy and the monarch, are the only voted in politicians. And basically how the system is set up is that the concubines have most of the political power, and they basically are there to adhere to the will of the people, to keep the monarchy in line, basically, to make sure that everyone's happy, everything's going smooth, and everyone's on board. Because, I don't know if I got rid of it, or if it's still here. Okay, yeah. So, basically, since the beginning of all of this, the monarch and the viceroy are essentially immortal because they're imbued with Anima's essence, and Anima's controlling them. So, now that we've got all of the species, we've got all the beastmen under lock, now the next stage is to create a new world. And the moon is the gateway to a new world. So they build a gravitic weapon, and this is a combination of Ultima and Omega. And they basically pull the moon out of the sky, and it crashes down. All 4 of the continents get pulled together from this gravitic weapon and create a single giant continent, including like the rubble and the rest of the remains from the moon. And since the moon was very, very infantile, the consciousness inside the celestial being hadn't matured to a point of being able to contain itself. So it spreads across the world, and this crystalline structure grows like a tree out of a massive volcano at the center of the continent where the moon fell. And it basically, like, the heat and everything from the volcano feeds the tree, and that's where everyone lives in modern day, is inside this massive tree that expands up into the atmosphere, and it's insane. But basically this is what happens, is there's the monarch, the viceroy, then there's the wife of the monarch and the wife of the viceroy, and then they have a son, because it's kind of like, think of from Dune, the Bene Gesserit, the female octopi have the ability to control their offspring's gender, essentially, and like how they grow and stuff, what traits they take from each parent, so they can literally build and construct their son genetically. And that's what they do. Instruction on the monarch and the viceroy of like what to keep, what to take kind of thing, you know, it's all figured out. And then the son is inaugurated as the new monarch after shadowing his father his entire life, and then spending like 3 to 5 years of actually being the monarch behind the scenes without anyone knowing, to see if there were any slip-ups. So he's actually, like, the shadowing kind of switches. Now the monarch is shadowing his son, so he can let his son do anything, and then if anything mistakes happen or something like that, they can be corrected. And then after a period of time, the monarch and the viceroy fake their death, kill their sons, take their sons' positions, because they know that the octopi have an innate ability to camouflage and morph themselves. So they essentially transform themselves into their sons, kill their sons, pretend that they die, and then carry on, and then the whole process starts over again. And this has been happening for like 8,000 years. But no one's really known it. And since the tree and the moon and the gravitic weapon, it's been about 800 to 1,000 years. So, and they've been doing that entire time inside the tree, because all of the citizens and all of the, like all three of the races, not the beastmen or any of the monsters or anything like that, they were meant to be wiped out to leave room for all the sentient species, because the more sentience there is, that's what anima feeds off of, is consciousness. So you don't just want a bunch of life around, you want a bunch of conscious, intelligent life around. Get rid of all the other life and all the other landmass, create as much landmass as possible, and create as much life as possible. That is the goal. And that's why they brought the moon out of the sky. And what this does is the consciousness that spreads from Ixion, which is the moon that gets pulled out of the sky, is where magic comes from. And how magic works is it's a combination of sound, movement, and imagination. So imagine what you want to conjure into the real world, then you use sound to conjure it into the real world, into a form. So sound creates a form for it, and then movement controls how it works. So casting magic is kind of like a song and dance. That's how it's imagined to be. And we're taking the concepts of like weapon skills, skill chains, and magic bursts. So the highest output damage is using magical currents that attach to elements in order to compound damage and power. And it basically creates density. So what you want to do is you want to basically have people using melee weapons to create an area of like emergence for a skill chain, and then you magic burst on top of that, and then you keep doing that. So you do like fire, and then fire 2, and then fire 3, and then fire 4, and then fire 5, and then fire 6, and then like the 6th one's doing like 8,000, 9,000 damage kind of idea. So it's like when it's like ramping up. So it's like, and you can do this over like a certain area. So it's like good thing for people that have like large weapons, is they can induce more like fissures in the ether to create skill chains and magic bursts. And speedy people can do it like create more of an AoE effect kind of thing. And the wider area you spread your magic, the less effective it is kind of thing. But eventually the consciousness from Ixion is spread about 20% past the main continent. So magic just works on the continent. But people have built like airships and traveled outside of this zone, and magic doesn't work outside of that radii. And people have traveled the entire planet, and they know that there's only one continent on the entire planet. And like 200 years ago from current time in the book is when the Adventurers Guild is set up, and they leave the tree in order to spread more life across the rest of the land, and they create all of the main cities, Shiva, Ifrit, Garuda, Leviathan, Titan, Rama. I don't know if there's going to be a Carbuncle, a Valefor, lots of cities. And eventually, like, what's happening throughout the story is the main character is not only gathering information about the past in order to kind of put all these pieces together, he's also gathering all of his strongest former companions, who are all the leaders of the guilds in each of the main cities. So they'll be traveling to each of the main cities and picking up new characters in each of those cities. And at the beginning, they find out when they head out to Ifrit to go investigate the dragon, they find out that there is a beastman army that has been basically tunneling from the far side of the volcano all the way across the plains to Garuda. And there's basically this invasion force ready to attack Garuda. So like the 6th or 7th chapter is like this massive fight on Garuda. And Garuda is a sky city it fell out of the sky when the moon got pulled down. So it's an extremely damaged old ruin of technology, and they usually call them dungeons, but they took this one over, and since it was still above ground, mostly above ground, at least from what was discovered of it, is they just turned it in because it had a residential area and it looked like, you know, the center of a city. So like, hell, let's just make this a city instead of building our own. And they just took it over and built it. And eventually the army of beastmen led by the dragon Fafnir is they basically destroy any defenses and invade the city, and then everyone leaves. Just as the heroes arrive via airship, they realize they're too late and Garuda's overtaken, so they basically evacuate everyone via airship and peace the fuck out. They have like a little bit of a battle, but it's like they're literally show up, realize that they can't fucking win the fight, call for backup, and peace the fuck out. And then when Fafnir takes over, he actually activates the Sky City, which sends a signal to all the other Sky Cities that are still operational, and they all start flying out of the sky. So then the next chapter is like a bunch of reports coming in of like all these craters and cities like flying, coming out of the ground and flying into the sky, and then some of them get into the sky and then crash down again. So there's like basically a whole bunch of new dungeons to explore. And that's where like the whole rest of the book goes into going into the dungeons, finding the city underneath the roots in the tree, because at the roots of the tree that go down to the bottom of the volcano, what was in the center where the gravitic weapon was the dome city that originally the octopi used, that was on the bottom of the ocean, and it still got the arm attached to it. So they go in there, they bring the dome down, and then it starts going to the bottom of the ocean. And then they kind of get trapped on the bottom of the ocean, and they find out that the dragons are still inhabiting that city. So the dragons come out, and then they find out that actually this whole time the reason why the beastmen have been attacking is because like the beastmen and the dragons used to worship the moon, and then the octopi came out of the sea. And when they came out of the sea, they beat the dragons because of their technology, and enslaved all the beastmen and basically wiped out most of the wildlife in order to populate intelligent species. But the beastmen weren't intelligent enough, and they didn't think them useful enough, so they picked the other two races in order to have two separate habitats, air and land, and then the rest of the octopi are still undersea. So this entire time there's still a civilization of octopi that live on the bottom of the sea, and they interact with the dragons, but the dragons couldn't leave until now. So that's kind of where, well, there's some things like I have to figure out, because there's two places that the book has to end off on, and it's either it's going to be 2 books or 3 books, but I don't want 3 books, I want 2 books. So the main ending for the first book is supposed to be they find the Warriors of Light, and they find, after talking to the dragons, so it'll be basically like the idea is that they'll go find the dragons and all the octopi people living still underneath the sea, and they'll get information about what happened with the monarch and the viceroy and everything, about how anima is kind of, or somehow this thing has infected them, you know, or it's been driving them, and then they show them the information and everything about the shard that they found, the piece of anima. And it's basically like a dark black version of the crystal that grows, that the tree is growing out of, or that the tree is made out of. And that's like the crystallized essence of consciousness that comes from a celestial being. And since this is a piece of a celestial being, of course, it's like obsidian crystal. And from there, then they, you know, have all this new knowledge, go back up to the surface, and when they reach the surface, this is where the Viceroy turns on them, because the whole time, the Viceroy, who is one of the main party members since the beginning of the book, because what happens there, like in the second chapter, the inauguration, the Viceroy steps down, his son takes over, and he decides he's going to go and become an adventurer. So he's basically like the third character in the party. And this whole time, you're going to be like super confused by this character, because he comes up with all the plans, and then for some reason when the plans are supposed to be enacted, he has no idea what the fuck is supposed to be happening. Thank God he's the guy that came up with the plans, and he's not the guy who's, like, most of the time, he's not a big part of the plan. It's like, if he fucks up, it's not going to fuck up the whole mission. But everyone's always like, dude, why do you always fuck up? Like, you're the guy that came up with the plan. You're the most important person. Like, why the hell do you always fuck up? And it's because he's coming up with the plan in his good partitioned mind. Because what happened when he was taken over by Anima is because he was, like, mature enough mentally to have partitioned his brain in a tiny piece of personality that's just kind of shut off from the rest. And it takes over now and then. And since he stepped down as the Viceroy, he no longer has any obligations. That side of him comes out, and then he joins the main character. And it's like, he's kind of acting like a fucking retard and noob because, and running around. And you'll kind of see in Chapter 4 when we go through Chapter 4, about what happens with him, and you're just really confused about it. And it's because he's been trapped inside his mind for like 8,000 years, and it's like he's had maybe like a year total across that 8,000 years of him being like conscious and able to control his body and do stuff. Because you'll find out as we go through the book, he's been doing stuff like in the sidelines, like shit that he has been doing for years as the Viceroy in the background that no one had ever known about, including being like, without anyone even knowing it, but the leader of the Warriors of Light. He's their teacher. He taught them, and he is like their contact, and he's like where they get all their shit from, how they found all of their relic armor and relic weapons and everything like that. And it's like, okay, what the fuck? And then his bad personality comes out. So they're coming out of this giant dome is raising to the top. The dome comes apart, and they're at the base of the volcano. They're like inside the volcano, like so deep down in the earth that it's like they're underneath the lava flow of the volcano, right? And it's like the roots of the tree just kind of twining into the city. And the monarch is standing there. And they're all like, wait, what the fuck? And then the Viceroy steps out, walks over to where the monarch is, and basically goes like, I got you guys, I was on his side the whole time, fuck you! And then the monarch calls down a bunch of meteors, and they try to fight him, and they just get completely fucked up. And then the ground starts to shake, and this giant hand comes out of the ground, and encloses the main characters, and that's the end of the first book. And that's the hand of Gaia reaching up out of her shell because she knows that her heroes are about to be destroyed. So she reaches her hand up and grabs them and pulls them back down. And the next book starts off in like, it'll have this. It's in the Soulscape essentially, and it'll be Husai, the main character, and it's like him, a golem person who will be the next race, which will be introduced in the second book, and Gaia, and they're basically sitting in like a theater watching like what would be the equivalent quality of a high school play. And it's like all of the characters from the book that like the previous book are like playing different roles, and it's telling you like a super quick version of like what I just did, like the whole backstory of like, you know, some guy comes out and he's like a planet, he's like, oh, I'm Omicron, I'm your mother, you're about to go into puberty and I'm gonna send you away. Pat, pat onto Anima. Anima's like, yay, go, Mom! And then this big bad thing comes up and goes, nom, 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 and eats the mom. And Anima goes, no, not it, no! And then the camera freaked out. And then he's like, no! And then he goes into a rage mode, starts eating everything in sight until he grows bigger and bigger, and then he's consuming suns, and then he shoots shards of himself off, and then the curtain comes down, and then raises again, and it's like the monarch and the viceroy in the submarine, their encounter with Anima, and it's kind of just like quick flashes of all of these events played out by the characters in these like really terribly done like high school quality costumes on the stage. And that's like the entire first chapter of the second book, and it just gives you this massive information dump. The entire time, like, Husai, Gaia, and the other golem are like talking smack, like sitting there like eating popcorn and just having like a total fourth wall break. And then Husai wakes up inside the shell, and it's like he's standing, they're all standing on like a platform, and it'd be like kind of like platform out like this, and then it'd be like Gaia's head, and they're like, you know, like they're like this big compared to like Gaia's head. And then, you know, they're all just kind of standing in front of Gaia, and she's like holding out her hand like this. You know, they're all just like standing on it, these little guys. And she's talking, tells them whole thing, you know, goes down. But we'll get to that. And yeah, that's the entire backstory and everything, and the timeline that we have set up. All the characters, we just don't have names for most of the characters. We have like full descriptions on their jobs, what they look like, why they like have the jobs that they have. Like, for instance, the quadra wielding insectoid and the also quadra wielding avian, amazing in their own ways. And then of course the main character Husai is different than everyone else because he has a genealogy that he is human, and there'll be different language used for him as opposed to other octopi. Everyone sees him as an octopi. He doesn't see himself as an octopi. Like, if he looks in the mirror, he sees himself as a human. And he's always been confused by this entire life, because everyone's always been like, you're an octopi. And he's like, okay. And he just knows that he can't tell anyone. It's kind of like this just passive knowing. He cannot tell anyone what he is. So language for him will be like bending his knees, like his elbows, like his shoulders, and it's like this language won't be used in movement for any other character because octopi don't have elbows and knees. They're entire arms that are like squiggly mobile essentially. And then avians are kind of the same way with like their snaking tails and stuff like that. So a lot of like slithering and clomping and like insectoids kind of have elbows, I guess. But I guess they have elbows and knees, but their elbows are also knees because they can use their feet as arms. So, but you'll know that it's an insectoid, so there's going to be, some language around the certain character that, you know, you'll be like, what? But, like in Inauguration in the second chapter, when the Viceroy sees him for the first time, he sees him as human, and you'll get a description of him looking human, and it'll be the first time and only time up until the second book that he'll be described as human fully. So that's just a little tidbit to throw in there. And then where was I? I don't know. I lost it. Toke time. Yeah. So now you're caught up. Congratulations. 15 years of timeline. Well, 15 years of me coming up with it. 8,000 year timeline spread across everything. I don't know if I have it on this computer or not. But I really should transfer everything over. But it's like, man, I have so many files. I just keep them on my other PC just cause. Because that's the one I usually use to write on, not this one. Well, probably more than 15 years, because I'm 33, and I've been working on this since I was like 12 or 13. Yeah, I know, right? That's my biggest thing, is I fucking hope across everything I send it to them, fully translated to Japanese, like, absolutely everything. I want to have, like, literally, like, fucking anime moments and shit like that, and it's just gonna be epic, so I really fucking hope I can get the rights to call it something like that. I think that would be so fucking awesome, because I've never even heard of, like, I know there's fanfic novels, but I've never heard of a Final Fantasy novel that's actually straight up a Final Fantasy endorsed by Square Enix, like, thing. Because I think that'd be really fucking cool. Because I love writing, but it's I wish I was born like 40 years earlier than I was born. And I mean, I know, like, the big of the big, like frickin' Song of Ice and Fire, like, and like what's the Chinese one? Three Body Problem, shit like that. But I'm humble. I'm like, this is just this is like, I hope I can write out something that's that fantastic, but it's like, I don't expect to have this written until I'm like 60. Like, this is a lot of stuff and continuity and everything, and these are just like I'm on chapter 4 of doing, and this is just like rewrites to keep things in line, because I've come up with like the whole idea of, like, at the beginning with the calm sphere and figuring the 100-year quest with everything. Husai is actually at the end, like, the killer that did everything. And the recorder approaches Husai, pleading, please assist. Husai cuts down the recorder, picks up the comm pearl, smiles as he looks into Husai's eyes. Husai's freaking out. He knows the image could not have been him. His heart's pounding. And he is now very concerned. He needs to know how many people have seen this and who brought it here, knowing he would see it. Because now he thinks someone's trying to blackmail him. He has no idea. But he's like, what the fuck, that was not me. And then the next chapter, he's talking to buddies at the beginning, and he creates, like, an alibi. Mine from the day became the guild master of the Adventurers Guild, which was, like, he had the decision to become the guild master or go on the 100-year quest. He chose to become the guild master, and the 100-year quest people never came back. And he had been with them the entire time, building up his imagined Adventurers Guild, because he wanted to change a bunch of things about the Adventurers Guild, including building a library and an archive for, like, lost relic items that aren't combat worthy, in order to, like, basically put them into a museum. And so he's basically never left the tree since then, let alone traveled to where the 100-year quest is, which is, like, everyone knows, it's literally on the edge of the other side of the continent where nobody goes, because it's heavily in the middle of Beastman territory. So, yeah. He's like, what the fuck? So he builds up his alibi, then he shows them it, and they're like, okay, we understand. We know now why you said that. Yeah, that couldn't possibly be you. Something's fucked up. So then he gives it to Sid to be like, figure out if this has been tampered with, or, like, what the hell is going on here? But it's actually because of the Monarch every time, because he's the one sending the people on the 100-year quest. He makes sure no one comes back if someone tries to run away from Fafnir, like what happened in the first thing where the recorder, because he's only there to be like a journalist kind of idea. He kind of weaseled himself in, and Husai was like, hey, you take my place, fuck it. Go record it, because we always got to have proof of it, right? Because he's like, this is going to be the time we're going to win, and I'm going to record it, I'm going to bring everything back. And he managed to escape. If Husai was, or if the Monarch wasn't there to kill him, he would have come back with the combo and been like, dude, there's a fucking dragon in there! He fucking roasted everyone alive! This was not cool, man. We had fucking 75 people. We did not stand a chance. I fucking ran away because I'm a pussy. I don't care. Here's the comm sphere. I'm out. I'm not an adventurer anymore. I'm staying in the tree. Fuck you guys. There's a dragon out there, okay? Bye. But instead he gets fucking cut down and killed. His story ends there. But with all that out of the way, move on to chapter 4. Okay. So in this chapter, Husai, Varys, and Viceroy leave the tree. Husai and party enter the main city stretch of Ifrit, gather at the main guild hall, meet Gluttony, and then they discuss the Warriors of Light and the tablet that the Warriors of Light may or may not have, depending upon the time frame of the prophecy or vision that Husai had when he was in the Soulscape. And in this, they're going to be like, as they're walking through the city, the Viceroy is going to be like that one character that's all like inspecting everything. Like, holy shit, what's this? What's that? What is this? What are those? Oh my god, you could do that! Because he's like never been outside the tree. And this is kind of normal because now he's like, he doesn't have any bureaucratical or political leanings. And it's like, these characters have all interacted with the Viceroy over years because they're all like leaders in their field. So they're like literally the leader of the guild and then the two people underneath that, and then, or the Adventurers Guild, and then the leader of the Crafting Guild and everyone associated with that. So they like literally have meetings all the time with like the Monarch and the Viceroy and like how to manage the tree, how to like, you know, stocking things, like making sure everyone's got enough food and everything like that. So all the economic parts of it and stuff like that. So they're just glad that he can enjoy not having to be a stuck-up piece of shit all the time. Because they're like, hey, dude, now that you're not literally the Viceroy anymore, you're a fucking nice guy to be around. And it's all because he's on his nice personality, who's a teacher. And he's a very, like, eccentric, enthusiastic guy. He was always inspecting things, always calling other people over to, like look at things with him and kind of like go, because like that's why he liked being a teacher so much, is he could just be like, hey guys, come over, look at this keyboard, look how it works, and we can do these kinds of things. Because like at that point in time it was a technological society, so you know, he was very, very into that. So now, since it's a very magical society, he's like doing his own thing. You know, you're going down, there's like street vendors from like crafts and stuff like that. Like we're talking the main city outside of the tree, like the tree and the volcano, and then the entire base around the volcano is the city of Ifrit. It is fucking huge. It is like, I'm from Canada, so I don't know, like, I've never been to the States, so I don't know, but like, what a friggin' big city other than like Vancouver or like Edmonton. But I'm talking like fucking huge. Like we're talking like quality of Dubai, size of like, I want to say like New York, but I don't even think New York is big enough. It'd be like bigger than the biggest city in the States, or like in some, maybe somewhere in the Middle East. I don't know, but this city is fucking huge. It has 4 main sections. It's got the entertainment district, it's got the crafting district, it's got economic food growth, farming, and it's got like governmental. And they're basically at the corner of the food, farming, agricultural, and the government and bureaucratic, because they're going to the guild hall where the guild master is. I guess it's kind of weird to say because Husai is like, he's like the main leader of all the masters of, so he's like the headmaster of the Adventurers Guild. He is literally the top of the top. It was Monarch, Viceroy, Husai, and then for the Adventurers Guild, and then the Crafting Guild is Sid. So they're literally like side by side, second in command to the main leaders. And then I don't know where I was going with that. Anyways, the Viceroy is like very going around being very enthusiastic, looking at all like the food stalls and stuff like that. Is like, because like one street is like kind of food stalls, the other one is kind of like stores and stuff like that, like clothing, accessory, but like very non-combat stuff, like not weapons, not armor, and very like wealthy for like government staff kind of idea. It's like they get to parade their luxuries on this side, and then the food district is right there, so they can just get all their food right there. So they're like passing through there, and he's going around inspecting all the stalls, like kind of like basically throwing money at them, being like, I'm gonna try that, I gotta try that, give me some food over here, I gotta try that. And people are being like, they're kind of joking, because he is, when you get to Gluttony, you'll understand, because they're like, oh man, they're gonna get along so well. Like Husai, because it's first person from Husai. So as he's seeing, he's kind of laughing, and he's just like saying to himself, like, man, they're gonna be the best of friends. This is actually freaking awesome, kind of idea. And then they get to the guild hall, and this is where you meet Gluttony. And Gluttony's entrance is fucking amazing, because he is like he's a paladin / bard. So he's extremely entertaining, and he's the nicest guy you'll ever fucking meet. And he is this massively obese avian, to the point where he hasn't been able to fly in like 15 years because he's too fat. But he's still pretty agile. And he fucking absolutely loves food. So they enter into the guild hall, and it's literally like all these tables set up with all these people sitting down, and they're like, you know, all eating and stuff. It's all bustling. And then you kind of look in the background, and Gluttony is just like jumping over tables, like extremely like fucking knocking people's plates over and shit, like being like, oh shit, I gotta get me some of this, oh I gotta grab me some of that. And he's just like going around, and nobody's like paying any attention to it, because it's literally like that's the entertainment and the funny, and like everyone knows he's just kidding around, and he's just a nice guy, and it's like he's socializing and interacting with the people as he's doing this, and just everybody loves it. It's like his freaking thing, and it's like that's why he's the leader, or he's the master of this guild in Ifrit's guild. So everyone just fucking loves him. And when all the characters come in and they see this, and Husai's just like laughing and like calls him over, and he's like, holy shit, it's Husai, buddy, what's going on? And he's like, oh my god, is that the Viceroy? Dude, you got an epic party going on here, like what is this shit? You know, they friggin' get back together, do their whole thing, they're like best of buddies. They're the guys that haven't seen each other in 15 years. It doesn't fucking matter, it might as well be fucking yesterday. And they're just fucking going at her. And the Viceroy's like, oh, you guys know each other and stuff? And then they're talking about him, and then he's like, alright, we gotta go, serious moment, we gotta go into the back, let's bring all this shit up. And he sits them down, tells them about what he saw in the Soulscape and the prophecy about the Warriors of Light having a tablet that would tell them the true nature of the past. And the idea is that it's a piece of a mural, and on the mural it shows dragons in the sky, goblins on the ground with chains around them, and like the dragons are like falling out of the sky, so like, you can clearly see that like they're defeated. And this is like the mural that the octopi made after they won the war with the dragons, basically commemorating their win. And the piece of tablet that, or like broken mural that the Warriors of Light have, has a picture of a dragon falling out of the sky, and then it has the ocean, and then under the ocean it shows like basically like cities and octopi. And everyone's like, what the fuck? So that's where it's like now the Warriors of Light, since they found this relic, they're like, okay, well, this is something from the past, we gotta figure this out. That's why Husai sent the Archive Master to go see if there was anything related to dragons and octopi in the archive. Maybe someone had come across this mural before, maybe someone had seen these pieces before, but this is all going to come back to the Viceroy has been sending, like, he's the contact for the Warriors of Light, and he's been sending them off on different missions to hidden sky cities that only the Viceroy knows about, because they've been buried for like hundreds of years. They're ones that were like closer to the ground or smaller or maybe even bigger that broke apart, and like specific areas in them where they could find relics, where they could find their relic weapons, where they could find their relic armor. And old relic armor and weapons are all like how magic imbuing works on armor is you can imbue your soul like enchant onto armor, and it's based on your jobs. Like if you always want to enchant your own armor, or you want to find someone who has an equivalent like job compatibility to yours, and if they're stronger than you, have them enchant it. So you kind of get the aspect of, you know, whatever job it is that you have, whether it's speed, strength, you know, whatever it is, high magic. But they eventually get to a point where like for melees and stuff like that, it's a little bit different, but we'll get into that later, how everything works. But relics are used or created with technology. So think of them like they're literally like freaking mech suits, like an Iron Man suit, and like a fucking gun, or like something equivalent to like a Warhammer Warhammer 40k chainsword, like shit like that, and then it's imbued with magic on top of it. So, and imbued by only the highest of the high from that old civilization, basically. And so they're like insanely fucking powerful, and they only equip them in battle kind of idea. So it's like, and they're very like, don't let people see this kind of thing. There's always kind of been an instruction from the Viceroy, is like, anything that you find in these areas, keep to yourself. And that's why it's like no one really knows who the Warriors of Light are, because they only go into combat and then turn into mechs, and they only go into combat with themselves. And they're going to be the Magus Sisters, Yojimbo with his dog, because he's a Beastmaster, and like a couple of other like Fenrir, but not really. Maybe I'll even throw Carbuncle in, and they'll be like, you know, maybe some old genetic experiments from the old days when the Monarch and the Viceroy were doing genetic experiments on different species to see which species were like the most compatible with intelligence and like mass population spreading, so mass procreation. And yeah, I know I lost my train of thought again. Hey, hi. What's up, Toke? And then we can start writing out this chapter. Now that we got everything fresh in our mind and ready to go. We don't need all the details, because all the dialogue and everything, that'll all come in later. We just need basic events to line everything up and make sure we have no continuity mistakes. And then we're good to go. Alright. So, we're just gonna call them the party. Party exit the tree into the jungle on the side of the volcano. Volcano. Alright, much better. To the food/government intersection entrance to Ifrit. Viceroy goes. I don't want to say goes crazy. Viceroy enthusiastically okay, I can't spell it. Okay, Viceroy enthusiastically inspects food stalls and whatnot. Husai makes jokes about gluttony and Viceroy getting along. They continue to the government section. Of the city. They enter the guild hall. Gluttony entrance. Food addict. No, what do we call it? Food enthusiast. Enthusiast moment. This is food enthusiast moment. Side calls over gluttony. All party goes to gluttony office and discuss Soulscape events. That's where I'm not sure, because at some point in time there has to be like, that's kind of odd that you talked about dragons, because there was actually a report that I was about to send to you. I hadn't quite finished it yet, but I was about to send it to you, of a group of adventurers that went missing, and when they were found, they were only scorched bones, and the entire terrain looked like it had been awath in wildfire. Literally, rocks melted. At this point, I'd have to say, from what you've said to me, it sounds like it was dragonfire. It melted and destroyed everything, and there were massive gouges in the ground, and like, he's just telling this huge story about this information, and he pulls out the record, and he's showing him what he wrote down about it, and he's like, yeah, so like, this is really fucking weird that this just happened, and that just happened. We sent out another group to investigate it, and they should be back actually any day now. So if you want to sit back, we'll go into the library and we'll start looking over some other stuff. So maybe we'll go into the saved archives of stuff that haven't been sent to the tree yet and see if we can find anything on the tablet or anything like that. So they have this huge conversation in the back and forth about the premonition about the Warriors of Light, and he's Gluttony's like, I haven't heard anything about anyone called the Warriors of Light. There's a couple of adventurer like parties and like clans I can point you towards that like would be, maybe if like the top 5 combined, they might be worthy of doing a 100-year quest, maybe. But that'd be, again, like somewhere between 75 to 100 people, which was sent last time, which I guess the Viceroy and the Monarch have been pretty clear now that if like sending more people is not helping. Just because you have more people doesn't mean you're actually going to get the job done. So they need stronger people. So they've now made it so you can't do the 100-year quest unless you do 1 damage to the Monarch or the Viceroy. And because of their, like, they're the Monarch and the Viceroy. No one knows this, but the reason why is because they're the original Monarch and the original Viceroy, and they have, like, literally the power of a celestial being. So they're like, hey, if you can hurt us and do 1 damage to us, then we'll let you go on the 100-year quest. And no one's ever been able to do that in, like, it's about 50, 60 years since the last people went on the 100 Years quest. Because that was about when Husai became the leader of the Adventurers Guild. And then the chapter ends, of course. And then chapter 5 will be them kind of scouring through the library, and then the return of the adventurers and their signs of confirming that they may not have seen the dragon, but whatever the hell did whatever it was had to have been a dragon, and it had to have been fucking massive. Like, aircraft carrier size. Like, huge. Absolutely massive. Like, in the first chapter, no, where is it? Where is it? Emerald weapon. Recorder is nearing the back of the chapel to look at a dragon statue. Suddenly the eye of the dragon opens, and we're talking like the eye is like 10 feet, and it's just like this just eye opens, and it's just like what the fuck, and then he just runs away. Like, he literally panics immediately because it's so fucking huge. He's like, what the fuck? Hey, that's a dragon. I'm out. And his thief instincts kick in, and he's like, fucking peace, bro. I'm out of here. To his credit, he makes it until the monarch kills him. So, you know, he tried. But yeah, so like Fafnir is fucking huge. Like, and then there's like the generations. So there's going to be the three main: Vertra, Jormungand, Tiamat. And I have it written down somewhere how it all works, but it's like a double concubine thing where like Jormungand is the alpha male, and Vertra and Tiamat are his concubines, and then their children are like Shinryu and Bahamut, and then, you know, because good old incest for like just the purposes of like they're the original beings that were created on Gaia with given intelligence. The original being was Jormungand, and then it's kind of like the Adam and Eve, and then, you know, Gaia kind of gave him concubines in order to spread across the world to endow light, and they're like the champions of Gaia from the beginning, essentially, to make sure that peace and prosperity spread across the land. She gave them great power, immortality, and insight, and that was passed on through the generations in lesser extent as the generations went on. And then Shinryu and Bahamut have Nidhogg and Fafnir. And Nidhogg and Fafnir don't have any kids. They're the last of the ancient dragons. No, actually, their offspring, because they're so diluted, their offspring are just normal dragons, not great worms. So you have 7 great worms? So you have the World Eaters, Jormungand, Vertra, Tiamat. Then you have their children, Shinryu and Bahamut. Then you have their children, Nidhogg and Fafnir. So there's the 3 World Eaters and the 4 Great Worms. And then from Fafnir and Nidhogg comes the lesser species of dragon. And they're only like the size of a Walmart, size of a superstore, size of a Costco, like a general big warehouse, something like that. And then they were the worms, and then from those worms came the smaller dragons, the flightless dragons, where they're like chickens. They're birds that can't fly, essentially. And those were like the lieutenants and generals in the army that commanded the Beastmen, basically. And they had like they weren't slaves, the Beastmen. They were like the foot soldiers for the dragons. They were treated very well. They prospered, and spread. And then when the octopi came out of the sea and destroyed everything, everything got fucked up. And then when the dragons lost the war, the world eaters fled to the bottom of the ocean because they couldn't withstand the might of the monarch. So they fled back to Gaia in order to gain guidance and strength from her. And they've been dormant down there waiting for their opportunity to strike back. Because along with Gaia, Gaia also hates the monarch because he killed her child, the moon. So she's got skin in the game too. And she knows that Anima is coming. And Anima is going to devour everything in his path. So the only thing they can do, and what her plan is, this is her long-term plan, was to use the Great Worms and the World Eaters to take the shard of Anima off of the planet and throw it into space. And hope that there are no other shards. But I guess they know there are no other shards, because let's say they've been scouring, like the guy has been in contact with the octopi at the bottom of the ocean, the remnants of the old civilization that never were. They're like the scientists that were left over after the experiment. Because there had to be people there to monitor it and everything, so they basically decided to remain on the bottom of the ocean. And they rebuilt their entire society ever since then. And they've been in contact with Gaia since, because they've been cut off from the world. So she's basically been guiding them and instructing them, giving them, the power when the opportunity arises for them to fight back. They're going to be ready. Because the final battle is going to be fucking goddamn amazing. Oh my god. Oh my god, the final battle is going to be fucking epic. And like all good things, the ending is important. The ending is the most important thing. So I have literally already written the ending. I have written the ending of the story before I ever started writing the story. Do you want the ending of the story? So I think now is a good time to pull that out. If I can find it. Oh, that's not what I want. That's what I want. Okay. All right then. Where are you? I know you're on here. Where are you? Is it really not in here? That is so weird. Maybe it's in here. Must be on my other computer. Let me see if I can find another one. Cause this is where I kind of get people. Is like all of like like what's on the screen here and all of this is just like a write out of events, right? It's not the actual writing. It's not the actual story. So the only thing that's actually written in stone is the ending, and the whole point is for it to be. It's not the idea of like a spoiler. Like this is an ending that the whole point of it is that even if you know what the ending is, that doesn't change anything. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. And knowing the destination, you want to get the journey even more. To be like, how the hell did you get to that point? Okay, here's all my short stories. Okay, here we go. Here we go. There's some things to change about it, but... Alright, let me take a token, then we're gonna go into story mode. Whoops. It's probably been 2 years or so since I've read this. Like, let me see what's the date on this. .2020. So I sent it to myself at the end of 2020. So I read this like 4 years ago. And it hasn't really been updated since. So it hasn't been spell checked and it hasn't been like fully fleshed out, but it has the entire idea. Alright. With the strength of chains, forged of pain and suffering, defeat and dismay, resolve and perseverance. Victory for those who have fallen, the bonds of camaraderie and trust, the hope for those yet live. The crystalline tree began to expand and weave in its way out of the ground. The grand roots of ages past, tearing the earth asunder. As it wove its shape, the roots and branches folded and merged, twisting into an oblong arch. The edges of the arch expanded outwards into smaller oblong spheres. The spirit of Gaia pierced the eggshell and the crust of the planet began to crumble. Sprouts of smoke and flame seared the green earth. Gaia's tear fell from her eye and splashed across the land. Plumes of boiling mist erupted from the broken land, obscuring the shell of a planet's view as she drew herself higher. A sonic boom screamed across the sky as the firmament began to collapse. Gaia closed her eyes and left her home behind. From the base of the spheres, the roots twisted outwards, creating trunks. The trunks protruded and began to create smaller, oblong spheres. The trunks pierced through the spheres and continued to grow outwards. These trunks sprouted 4 roots from their ends and began to flatten. A 5th root expanded from the inner sides of the flattened sphere. With a mighty conjure of the magical anti-gravitic weapon Ultima Omega, a beam of light shot from Gaia's hand. The beam struck Ixion down the middle. That's the tree. The shockwave vibrated the foundation of the far plane, the soulscape. Anima unleashed a wail unlike any conceivable. The shockwave split the atoms of the particles in the path between it and Gaia. The light seemed almost spectacular, but in lieu of this monster's attempts, she would bring such a grand show to the stage. Two halves of Ixion parted. The one began to glow a bright blue, while the other began to glow yellow. With her companions by her side, she nodded to herself. This was it. She imagined the incantation. Ixion's halves split. The blue stretched into a branch, the yellow into a string. Now! Husai shouted. The string began to wrap around the edges of the branch, pulling it taut and bending it. Knowing it was his final moments, he bowed his head and let a smile cross his lips. How wondrous it would have been to see the results of my labor. The spirits of the Ixion team poured into the anti-gravitic weapon, Ultima Omega. The sun darkened as Gaia placed her hand on the bow. With all that I am and all that I have created, I will end you. Gaia drew the string as the now darkened sun stretched into an arrow of pure darkness. Looking down upon her tattered home, she felt the power of the arrow and prepared. The arrow passed the string and she released. Main character in the branch of the bow. My eyes could not be telling me the truth. As Gaia's arm went limp, the force of movement waved her palm and it struck the planet. The planet shot off into the distance of space. You would have a plan B, Mother Crystal. Ixion shattered into dust. Gaia calmed her mind. Images pass as if her life flashing before her eyes. Reveal for next book, because it's going to be like a prequel, but I don't really know. The waves of the soulscape rippled as her consciousness was ripped from her broken body and carried across the stars. 1,000 shades of darkness erupted as the arrow struck Anima. Their souls collided in the soulscape, morphing them into one. I am in your domain now, Anima. Let this be a fight for eternity. Gaia felt her essence shake. This has happened before, and this will happen again. The darkness warped. Specks of light began to appear. As stars, they gathered, surrounding Anima. The monster roared. His essence of rancor could have been corporeal. The darkness shifted to blinding light. Gaia raised her arm to cover her face, staring at her hand. She heard the call of millions talking as one. You are made whole, child, as are we all. The stars began to morph into beings of all shapes and size, wielding sticks from sticks to laser cannons. Gaia nodded. They all spoke. If not me, then the next. With a mighty soaring cry mustered from all their beings, they leapt into battle. Yup. That's the ending. In all of its glory. Entirely, the events themselves, like everything entirely leading up to the ending of the book, like all the last 6 chapters, you could play side by side with the last 3 episodes of the TV show Angel of the last season, where everyone's going to fight their own piece of the great demon army. They all, a couple of them are getting struck down. Wesley's basically dead, and then Angel's standing there with his sword, and you see the wolf running towards you, the ram running towards you, and the heart flying in the sky. Angel looks back and says, let's fucking do this, and then they run into battle and credits. So it's like you get to completely imagine how the rest of it plays out. And with taking like the idea of like those lights and beings coming into existence are all the consciousness of all of the beings that Anima has eaten. And through the power of Gaia's celestial magic, she was able to conjure all of their consciousnesses and bring them whole. So now it's like thinking of like, take this concept from Stargate SG-1, the fight between Anubis and Oma de Sala. No one's gonna win, but it will hold Anima in his tracks. So as long as she is willing to fight against him and everyone else is willing to fight with her, he can't progress any farther. So it's an eternal struggle, but at the end of the day, it saves all of the universe because Anima will no longer be the Sun Eater. Yep. And then, of course, the next book will be the prequel, which leads up to everything, which will be like an essence of like a short like a half the size book of just like, because how it's going to work is after each chapter there's going to be a side quest, and the side quest is a short story that is in the back of the book, and you can choose to read these if you want. They just give you extra insight into the background of characters, how they met, some of their reasons for things and stuff like that, and it just fleshes a lot of the relationships between the characters, but you don't have to read them. There won't be anything important in there, like spoilers or anything like that. It'll just be its own normal good thing that you can just feel free to go through the side quests and read up on those if you want, make it feel like, you know. So the prequel book will just be basically a bunch of those, and just like the short stories related to the monarch and the viceroy, and like it'll go through first person of the viceroy, but it'll be from his good personality. So it'll be like literally him in a cage like most of the time, like battling against his mentality of being stuck inside a cage and just watching as all these horrors and atrocities are committed in front of him by his own body. I think that'll go hard. But yeah. The ending is the most important thing. If you have the ending, everything else is fucking golden. You just gotta make sure that you get there. That's all we gotta do. We gotta get there. And I have basically everything lined up, written out in a bunch of different ways. I'm just reorganizing everything together, and this will be kind of like, these will also act as like vlogs to kind of keep everything consolidated, because so much information is spread over so much time in so many different areas that now that I've like put the entire thing together, I need to go back and examine each piece and be like, or I guess I've made sure that I have all, let's say 1,000 pieces. So like I counted out all 1,000 pieces to make sure I have all 1,000 pieces, but I haven't put the puzzle together yet. So there could be some calculation error in there somewhere and stuff like that. So that's why we're just slowly building up the chapters with just main events, seeing what's going on, because the worst part is writing and then having to scrap it. That is the worst, because there's so many things that I want to put in that I think would be great, but they just don't work. So you gotta be able to scrap them. And you just scrap them. It's out. Peace. Gone. Done. No worries with it. This is FFY ending final. All party goes to Gluttony offices except Soulscape events. Gluttony tells of dragon incident and to wait for adventurers return. In the meantime, they all go examine the library/archive. Alright, more investigation. And that's the end of chapter 4. No, we have adventurers return with news. It must be a dragon. Sai asks Gluttony to join his party. Gluttony accepts and hands over the leadership duties to his deputy. I don't know. Party prepares to leave Ifrit and head to the nearby cave systems. That'll be in chapter 5. Dun dun dun. Coming soon. to a stream near you. Alright. So that took a lot longer because we did a lot of extra stuff, but that's always good. Doing extra stuff is really good because that gets more information out there. That's what it's all about, getting the information out there. So now that we've done that, we can go ahead and pull this up. And we gonna be doing some slaying. Some slaying, boys. Some thermonuclear slaying. So let's get on with the nuclear slaying. Yuma. Oh, I gotta move this. 1 second, I gotta... Whoops, I'm dumb. I'm bad and I am dumb. There we go. That'll do. Then we must go here. Need to go like that. I'm getting this weird fucking glitch on my other monitor, and it is starting to piss me off. I don't know what's going on, but it's like flashing. Never had that shit happen before. Alright. Old school RuneScape. Changing our category. But it like only flashes, like, I'm pretty sure it's an OBS thing. Maybe I didn't update on OBS. Because it's like, it's definitely OBS that's doing it. No doubt about that. Okay, there we go. You. Okay, that's good, that's good. What about this? What are we looking at for this? There it is. Yeah, we're good. Alright, dailies! Yay, dailies! Do we have any scrolls? No, we do not have any scrolls. Let's get us some free stuff. Free stuff is always good. Gotta love free stuff. I'll make my living off of free stuff. It's always good shit. That's not where I'm going. Go over here. Gotta grab our bowstrings. Welcome, welcome. We just finished doing the story for chapter 4 for the book. So now we are on to RuneScape, and we will be doing Thermonuclear Smoke Devil with the new prayer region and redemption, because it is super fucking fun. I love redemption, but it's always been such a like a sunken cost because it's so expensive. But now it's basically fucking free. I literally make my money back within one dose, like an entire dose. And I bought one at 71k, And then yesterday I bought 2 at 64K. So I don't know if they're going down, but I'm glad I didn't buy a bunch of them at 71K, and I'm hoping they're just going to keep going down. But if they go back up, then I'm going to wish I would have bought more. But I doubt they'll go back up. They just got to keep going down. As more people do the farming thing, if people find out meta of how to like get them super easily. I was going to do it and then get Herblord to 99 because I'm like only 300K. But I was like, I'm too lazy. I just want to do Slayer. I just like doing Slayer bosses. Honestly, Slayer bosses are what it's all about. Because then I don't get to like pick what I do. I kind of do, because sometimes I can do the boss. Like here, I could just go do Smoke Devils and do splashing. But I'd rather just do thermonuclear. And yeah, makes it super easy. And we're almost, oops, that's not what I want. We're getting closer and closer, 249K. Only like another month of doing this. So it's like 25 days? So we have about 10K? Maybe about 14K. So maybe like 2 weeks. And by the time PoE 2 comes out, well, I'm 94 prayer. I don't know if there's another threshold for a prayer potion game. I don't know if that, like, what if 93 was the highest. Cause I know 93 put me on a threshold for another point. Or was it 92? It's been years since I remember that. This is all I do for 11. I've been doing this for like I don't remember the last time I actually tried to level prayer. God, it hasn't been like 5 or 6 years. Back when it didn't take ages or be super fucking expensive, like 20 mil fucking level. Maybe then I'd do it. We need our get up. Get up and go shit. Don't actually get up and go shit, but you know, your get up and go stuff. Your things that you need in order to get up and go. Words. They are there for a reason. I just choose not to use them most of the time. It's too much work to use words. Wait, I have 13 more? What the fuck what am I doing? I'm an idiot. I just for some reason thought that I was done. I don't know why I thought that I was done. I swear I'd already done this 3 times. I guess I imagined that. I'm a fucking idiot. Don't listen to me, I'm a fucking retard. Alright, there we go. Now we're done with dailies. Now we can do a farming run. That's where we get all our money from. All our juicy, juicy money. All that bond money. Gotta get us bonds. Gotta get us bonds. Lots of bonds. Okay, now we can go grab our cactus seed, or cactus spines. Let me take a toke while we're doing that. Ooh, a clue. Beginner. Fuck. Alright, let's do this clue real quick. Man, there's so many. Task? Now that I've made a fool of myself. I need these in here so I can do this. I need this and this. Alright, Varrock. Nope. Varrock. Oh, it's a two-step. Alright. I'm betting Lumbridge, Cowfield. One in the chat for Lumbridge. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. Get that out of here. I hate it when I do that. I'm an idiot. Ignore me, I'm an idiot. Cowfield or northeast or northwest of the dueling arena. One for the Cowfield, two for the dueling arena. It's always one of those. Oh, apparently it's neither of those. It's Draenor. Alright. I don't need to do that. Draenor. Oh, right. Okay, I've done here a couple times. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Again, I'm a fucking idiot. Don't listen to me. I don't know what I'm talking about. Nice. 3-step. Talk to Shanty and Alcarid. I can never remember the frig I'm supposed to get there. I know it's here. What's the fastest way? I earn the achievement cape, which I don't have. BIQ. Alright. I knew it was a fairy. Fairy ring. BIQ. Calphite Hive. Running through the desert without water. Running through the desert without water. It hurts my feet. Oh, we made it without taking damage. Nice. What do we get? Yeah, look at that. 1K. Not bad for a beginner. Not bad for a beginner. Use these both on there. So I'm putting both in there. Alright, now we can do farming run. At Renars. Oops, that's not what I want. Husin das Fur. We go to Husin. We use Pool. We use... What the fuck you call that? Altar. Not a very good run. So far, no dead plants, and we're still under by 5. We need somewhere to kick us up. We gotta hit that 100 mark. We gotta make that 100 mark. Every time, 100 rain hour. Oh, that was pretty decent. 13, not too bad. You guys like the farming content? We're almost done. We're over halfway done. Don't worry. Another 5 or 6 minutes and we'll be done. On to thermonuclear smoke devil with prayer regeneration potions. The oh so potent regeneration potions. They are mighty, they are great, and they are very useful for redemption. I'm under arrest. Fuck you, I'm out! Haste, run! 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 How'd he teleport to me? Get the fuck out of here. Use the shortcut. He can't catch us through the shortcut, right? Fuck you, I'm out of here, bitch. Maybe he'll get mauled by these trolls. Hey! Hey! Trolls! No, attack him! Attack him, not me. What the fuck are you doing? He's trying to arrest me. Fuck that shit, I'm out. Sorry, I'm deaf. I don't know what you're saying, bro. I gotta plant my seeds. Just let me plant my seeds, bro. What did I do wrong? What rule I break on you? Yeah, like I'm going to purposefully go get locked up. Okay, I'll come quietly. You convinced me. You convinced me. Alright, what did I get? An emerald. Thank you. Thank you, good sir. Took me to jail and I escaped with an emerald. I am happy. It's gonna fuck up that one inventory space. Like it always does. How many spines can we get? Damn, that was shitty as fuck. They heard me and ran. Like, holy shit. 4? Only 1 extra? Jesus. I mean, I haven't getting 30, so... I mean, 1 bad roll can't be that bad. That's insane for what our drops are gonna be like at, Thermi tonight. Probably shit. We got like an Onyx Bolt drop last night though. Made like $1 mil. Made back what we spent on those potions. Oh, I forgot. This thing never activates, so I gotta turn this on. So I get my mouse buttons to work. we go. That feels good. You know where that's from? Dune, Shai-Hulud, the great god emperor, Shai-Hulud. I thought I had one. Oh, I don't have a whip. Well, I only have a tentacle. I just hate using things that take up stuff. I'm just wondering if just a normal whip is better for slashing. Not by much, but I mean, we might as well just have one. We'll try it out. See if it's better than the Fang. Oh, but it's melee strength versus... Yeah, no, I don't care about the accuracy. And we're just going to throw this guy in here. With, there. Trying to think how I can do this. I can swap those. There. Now the cannon pieces just kind of aren't together, but we can still go like that and that and put them together, and we have those. Okay, that works. There we go. So yeah, I think it's still better because it can just hit better. I mean, the accuracy isn't really worth anything. Okay, we need one of you. Need one of you. One of you. That should do. You. You. I don't know if the Holy Wrench works with it. I'm going to try it, actually, and just see. See if I feel like I get better on the prayer chain. We shouldn't go like this, just because it's a safer bet for misclicks to do that. Alright, we can use our Fally Shield for today. I think we're ready to go. If I can remember, it's B, not D. B, K, P. We getting ready, gonna go kill us some thermonuclear smoke devil. Do a little peek inside. Looks like someone's in there, but you never know. One adventurer in the cave. Alright. We learned our lesson last night. Stick to east server, or west servers. Because the ping was pretty bad, and we were just giving way too many hits off. Alright, turn that off. I gotta take a piss, and then we will start. Damn thing keeps coming off. There we go. You need friggin' headphones. Alright, we are back. And then if anyone was here and they are doing a run back, if they're not back by the time I'm done this toke, then world's mine, bitch. Alright. Always one tick off. I hate when it backs up like that. I get so many free hits. There, he's dead. Easy! What we got? Rune Dagger. Boo. Better than essence. Big hit, big hit. Damn it, missed it. By that much. He has too many free hits on me. Bad when my health drops below my prayer. That's not good. Nope. Free hits. All day. All day, all night. Free hits. Oh, I forgot to use my potion. Dum. Let's go. Fuck. Forgot to turn piety on. You do this enough and it feels like you're going at normal run speed when you're walking. Not in the right spot, ski doodle. Nice. Okay, okay. Prayers under health, that's all that matters. Ooh, look at that. Free food. Always gotta love free food. That'll help a lot, because we still got an entire other load of prayer to go from the shield. Our daily recharge. We worked hard for it. We might as well use it. Die! It's gotta be a big hit. Gotta be. Fuck! Thought that would break my streak. Nope, I was one hit off. Would have been huge. Would have been a huge Sarah hit. No, I'm taking too much damage. Too much damage. No, I don't want to use it. I don't want to waste my... I don't want to waste my prayer yet. He did. Throw one of these. Damn it. Come on. One more. Hit me. No. No, this is going to backfire. It's going to backfire. Okay. We got him. We got him. That was close, though. Oh, actually, I don't want to use that because I'm full prayer. Dead. Nice. Not bad, not bad, not bad at all. I'll take it. Let's get some more prayer down before I do those, and I'll just do back-to-backs. Hopefully we get some good hits. Because at this point, it's not looking like it. Okay. Yep, boo. Nothing. That was not bad. It wasn't big or anything. Ooh, big hit. Alright. Whoops. That's not what I wanted to do. I haven't gotten those as a drop before. Every time I get a new drop, I think it's on a rare drop table and I missed out on something. That's generally how it goes. Man, he's destroying me. Oh, I don't have piety on because I'm an idiot. Fucking zero. I'm gonna run out of food before I run out of prayer. Dance under me. Dance under him. There we go. Nice big hit. Nice big juicy hit. Alright, we're almost ready for the main event. Just gotta kill out my prayer. I get hit, but I don't fucking hit him. So come on. Literally one tick. Alright, this has to break the streak. 36, not too bad. He just gets 3 hits because I'm dumb. Oh man, he's smacking me. He's smacking me. I'm scared. Oh, he's on my prayer. No, my prayer. I guess I should be able to keep this on because I'm going to get the first hit. Pop that. Yeah, I don't think the Holy Wrench does anything. Fuck him up. Give me something good. Fucking air runes. Really, dude? Fucking really? That was a good hit. I just have to not waste it. I'm just wondering, is this thing on a... Oh, it's still pretty loud. I don't know why it's so fucking loud. Nice key. It's not too bad, not too bad. Too many free hits. Not enough good hits. I flew too close to the sun. Oh. Oh, I flew too close to the sun. Feels bad. I knew I should have stepped under, too. That's pretty decent. Can't go wrong there. I'm just gonna immediately smack down. Damn, we had some good health. That was a fucking decent hit. Holy shit. We're smoking it, boys. Bye-bye prayer. Stop giving me this garbo. Come on, hit me. I'm gonna run out of prayer. Alright, this is gonna be last kill. Potion is done. We went a little late on the storytelling. Kind of cut into this, so we only got to use one potion instead of two. But hey, it works and it's good. And if I'm gambly, I can just stand there. Like, just stand and take it and hope that he hits enough zeros and he hits on the right timings, but it's a gamble. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy the stream. Tune in tomorrow for more storytelling and thermonuclear smoke devil. Anyways, remember, can't say fuck you to your friends. Who can you say fuck you to? Fuck you!